So speaking of that, 10 years in the making, one of the things that I find fascinating, because we know the raid happens after the story. The story concludes. We know 6.1 is when we'll see the 24-man raid. And these two raids are Pandemonium and Myths of the Realm. And just like I echo Chris's statement, like I adored the Yahora raids for the content, I did not connect into the story. It just didn't further it for me. And Myths, just in its title, just like Ivalice being part of the world, Stormblood, I have so much more love for Stormblood now that Ivalice continued into Boja that I just connect to it. So Todd, the question to you is that let's talk about raiding in Endwalker. Let's talk about how you plan to kind of take your content from that going into Pandemonium and Myths of the Realm. What excites you the most, and how are you planning on tackling it in terms of what you do currently today?
Well, I mean, we're going to have to wait for the raids to drop. And I think primarily it's just going to be preparing for Savage. We're just going to be dissecting all the normal raids and trying to glean as much like information as we can from them, just to see what type of mechanics we're going to experience in Savage. So like, if you're familiar with how normal works versus Savage, in normal you often see all the telegraphed attacks. Everything is pretty easy. Well, relatively easy to dodge. You still get players that just are always standing in the bad for like no matter what. You could put giant arrows and bad symbols but they just stand there. But with normal, it's just going to be preparation for Savage and then get that week 1 clear, hopefully. And then after that, I'm going to be diving right back into Party Finder, and I'm going to start teaching people as soon as I can. As soon as like I don't have that, I guess, commitment to like, okay, we're doing hardcore all these days. Like when I'm free from that, then I go right back into like what I do here, which is helping people learn the fights with clears, because there's going to be lots of folks that do not have statics, and they're gonna need that. They're gonna need some guidance. And who knows? Maybe, I mean, it'd be nice if we had like a little Llamatodd strat or something, Llama strat on one of the fights. I would just love to have that. And then even if people hated it,
you got to be fast.
I would
it's not about being better. You got to be fast.
You got to be fast.
You got to be fast.
You got to put it out there. But like, oh, I don't like Llama strat. Llama strat sucks. I'm like, sorry.
You got to be fast.
But it's mine. But you have heard of me.
Yeah. You have heard of me.
But you have heard of me. Yeah, that'd be cool.
So which one are you most excited about? Obviously Savage, but like does Myths like intrigue you at all?
I mean, like not to like brush it off, but it's more like casual content, and I do appreciate it. Like I really appreciated the Evilist raids, because like I love tactics, and when like Orban Monastery, like phenomenal. I was like, oh man, it has like all of my favorite characters, and like Agrius was in there. Like I definitely love Agrius. So
when you said 6 in tactics, I was like, you sir are good man, good company. Yeah. This guy likes 10. I like 10. I just like 6 in tactics are great.
I sunk a lot of hours into 10, but
10 or 10 too.
10.
Oh man, see, I'm in the 10-2 boat. I like 10-2 more.
Okay.
Anyway, I derailed that just slightly, but yeah.
No, it's okay. I think I'm definitely curious
to take that E9S clear back. Oh, all right then.
Not at all.
Hey Todd, are we raiding anytime soon? It's like, oh no, yeah. I'm a little bit busy, Brian. Sorry.
Oh no. Nah, no, I'll be interested in seeing like what original raid bosses and content they're gonna come up with for an Alliance raid. But it's not like super important to me, but like I think it'll be nice.
Would you like to see some form of like Savage Alliance raid, or would you like to see some like Final Fantasy version of like M+, for example?
I think Yoshi P has already even answered this. I would like more challenging dungeons, 4-mans. Like, even though, yes, if there's like a lot more on the line, and if you have one person that dies, it's going to be a lot harder to recover. Where if you have like 8 people and like one person dies in an 8-man raid. And I think with what we've seen with Bajja, which is content I just haven't touched and gotten into. I mean, you kind of have like that Savage version of
It's
Alliance
good.
raids there.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It punches you into the ground. I don't know if Brian, if you've stepped foot into it. I've been doing Deliverance Savage on Sundays. It's tough. It'll slam you in the face. You got to know the fight.
I just, from a gearing standpoint, like I wouldn't want to see like a Savage Alliance raid required to getting like your best in slot for an 8-man raid.
Yeah.
Like I that would kind of screw that up a lot. But if they made it like slightly lesser eye level or something, like okay. But I think they should just stick to the normal formula.
So the problem with it being slightly less then is now you're tome capped every week and you have the top Alliance raid piece, and it still becomes something that becomes part of that week 1, week 2 prog. So that week that you're already worried about the load, it gets launched onto that week. Where now in the first week, you also have to farm all that up. And so if it is tied to anything that can be interpreted as gear progression, even early in the cycle, it becomes mandatory. If instead you tie it behind something like Unreal or Ultimate, where it is cosmetic only, then it doesn't matter.
Or it has its own progression system that's its own self-contained system.
Which Bosja has a set of gear. It has a set of 520 gear tied to it that has a haste stat that is not eligible outside of Queens of Gunhildr content. So you can absolutely have that gear, have an extension within that. You can also have that gear have really cool cosmetics. The deep dungeon gear, those weapons have been relevant very, very briefly. And then for the test of time, it is a glamour only system that people also use for experience. So you could easily, Yoshibi has said in interviews that he would, if they did this, likely tie it to something like Deep Dungeon. And I think that makes a lot of sense because it keeps it isolated. It keeps it tucked away where you can have it be like that Necromancer title. So when, let's just say like a couple of individual people decide to stay on the internet, they're going to get a Necromancer title. All of a sudden, the internet as a whole is really interested in this title. It's always been there. It's not new.
Sure.
And there's this massive resurgence in content because that content was never tied to gear progression. It was always meant to be a separate system. So they have said if they do enjoy the difficult, larger content, they've really enjoyed the way the community's responded to Baldesian Arsenal. They then said, we love that so much that we're going to they give us 3 raids tried to Queens of Gunhildr, one of which got a Savage. 48-man Savage. It's an insane number of people. Getting past the door boss, you can literally have 24 people doing their job exactly right, and then they're sitting there waiting at a door for the group that's been fractured from them. And if that group wipes, you have to wipe the whole thing up and start over. So it's they've really enjoyed that response.
So like you could probably educate me a little bit. So like they say 48-man Savage, but like which kind of Savage? Are we talking like lights rampant for 48 people or maybe tiles for 48 people? Like what degree of difficulty in Savage is it for that large amount of people? Because I feel like you can't have a light rampant type situation or lions, 48-man lions. It's like
so Deliverum works a little differently from the get-go. So let's back up to normal because you haven't been in that either. So it's always neat to see something that like I know more about than Llamatodd. Chocobo Racing and apparently Deliverum are the only two. So
there's more than that, believe me.
So Deliverum functions a little differently than most battle content in the game because what they do instead of giving you like a damage down or a vuln stack, they have a probation style mechanic. So when you get clipped by a mechanic in normal, you get a probation stack, and if within 2 minutes while that probation stack falls off, if you get hit again, you get doomed and you die. And so when you die in the normal 24-man Deliverum, it is 99% of the time your fault, uncurable, nothing you can do. And so every mechanic is about testing, are you paying attention? And so as a result, they design encounters where there are icons that might appear over your head, kind of like the math boss back in the day, not that long ago, where I can't tell you where to be. So it will give me a temperature over my head, and then I have to regulate my temperature back down to the normal range by standing in ice AoE or standing in fire AoE. I can't tell you what AoE to stand in. Historically, we wouldn't want to stand in any AoE, but I am telling you that at the end of this mechanic, she's going to measure all of our temperature. And if she takes your temperature, and if you're cold or hot, you're done, and it's just going to kill you. I don't care what role you are. You can literally have a black mage tank it because of the way lost actions work. Now we have Valors in the mix, so now you have like all these bonus stats. My Deliverance Savage group, we're only running it with like 33 people, so it's not tuned where you need all 48. But there are mechanics that matter. Now, when you move into Savage, that pivots. We lose the probation stack, and instead of getting hit twice within 2 minutes, killing you, but after the 2 minutes falls off, you can afford to get hit again as the encounter continues on. Now, for each boss, you've got 3 stacks. 3 strikes, you're out. That's it. Thrice come ruin. And if you get hit 3 times, you're just done. And when you go down, rezzing people requires these lost actions. So you don't just get to resurrect people mid-combat. People go down, they stay down. And then there's like, you can have this Phoenix down on yourself that has a 70% chance of rezzing you. There's all these consumables going on. So like as the raid progresses, there is a chance that if you guys, you only get to stock up on the items at the beginning of the raid. So depending on what you brought, as the raid progresses, you eventually just start losing people and they just stay down. And so you work your way further and further into this encounter, and it's this game of limited resource management. And so dying penalizes everybody because now they're having to spend their resources to resurrect you. The opening door boss has slimes on the left and golems on the right, and they each have a different way of being tackled as mechanics. And so you separate into 2 different voice channels and you just handle yours. The other thing is, if you wipe on the second boss, you have to, if everybody dies, you have to clear the instance, you have to leave the instance, and you start all the way over. Oh. So the entirety of the raid has to be cleared in a single straight through clear.
Let's see.
And so it's this heavy progression where you are talking about the opening door boss being trash. You are talking about, so you're clearing all the Edens, and every time somebody dies, they stay dead. That's a much bigger different, right? And so these relic raids are allowed to break all sorts of rules. So all Savages is it's requiring more coordination. If everybody's coordinated, gear shouldn't be an issue. It's like this expansion, literally, when you log into Bosjo, whether you're 71 or 80 best in slot, it syncs you all to 430 gear. So gearing is no longer what's differentiating people. So the DPS rotation is no longer necessarily the focus. Obviously, more DPS is better, but it's more about like, can you do mechanics? It's about, can you respect mechanics? So it's much, much closer to tiles than something that's like a tuning issue.
Okay.
What do you think about that, Todd?
I mean, I think I probably owe it to myself just to see like that type of content. I think that sounds interesting.
Honestly, the way he described it, I go, you're doing this on Sunday, right, Chris? Are you streaming this at all?
No, I streamed the first one.
Okay.
I streamed it since.
I need to see if I can talk to Julie and join you on Sunday, because that sounds.
There's a big Google spreadsheet to get yourself slotted.
Okay.
Well, I've always wanted to do like BA.
It's Benny's group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just a guest.
BA is honestly one of my bucket list items that I feel horrible about. Eureka actually made me go play Final Fantasy XI again, and I don't regret that at all. Like, I really enjoyed my time playing Final Fantasy XI because I was like, oh man, like Eureka is almost like how I want it. I wish there was a couple things I wish they did differently, and I think this would be fantastic in 14. And so I was like, well, I'm just gonna go play 11. But then it's like they kept going, and all of a sudden at the end of the train where I wasn't even on, it's like, here's all the stuff. And then I tried to get in, and being that how certain things worked, I was like, well, I'm doing all this solo. It's not worth it. And then BA drops, and I'm like, so that's a bucket list item I've got for 14. Do you got any bucket list items, Todd, or anything that you're like, because we're just talking obviously about the Zadnor and the Savage version.
Sure. I would like to get the Lone Hero Heaven on High solo on Ninja. That'd be kind of cool. That's always been like on the back burner. I'm like, oh, I'll get to it. But then I never.
Have you tried it at all?
Like several months ago, I tried just to see how it would go, and I think I got to like the floor 70 boss, and then I did like one little misstep, and it just kind of ruined the run on the boss fight. I was like, wait a second, and they hit hard. They hit so hard. On a melee, I'm like, damn, like these enemies suck so much. Like, you have to be so careful. I remember like kind of just panicking. I'm like, well, I have like my my steel and everything like active, but man, I was just getting rocked. So there's definitely some things to worry about. You can't just like blindly just start bashing enemies and going through and expect to like clear. So, but yeah, that's one of my goals. I think Lone Hero.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I'd watch that, absolutely.
Yeah.
Chris, you got any? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, so I was just gonna say it's a big grind though, like just kind of preparing the save files, because like for content, it's like I don't know if I want to like I don't want people to just watch me do floors like 1 through 60, just farming and like getting just prepping and stuff. I for me, I just kind of want to get like a couple of saves ready to go, like 70 and up or something.
I wish we had more saves. Like we only get the 2
Yes,
slots, and
more
it's
saves
like,
would be nice.
It'd be a cool use of the resource to be able to buy more saves.
Yeah, actually,
I
honestly,
don't just want more things handed to me in this game.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want more things to chase.
yeah, more
Give
things.
me something to do.
Yeah. Oh, you don't.
I
You don't
think
have
the
to
Valor
resave?
system is a really clever end to the Boston system. So what it is a buff that you apply. So you're acquiring this experience in there, and you're purchasing these buffs. Just give me something to chase.
I do have a deal with Angelus Demonus. Of course, if you know anything about Heaven on High and Palace, like he is like the master at that. But basically, I told him if I ever clear Heaven on High solo, then he will do Savage with me, or he'll clear the tier, whatever tier that is that I actually end up clearing Heaven on High.
Okay.
So I'm hoping I can get this done soon, and then I can force him through 9 through 12. Otherwise, I have to wait.
That sounds exciting. That sounds really exciting. Well, that brings us kind of pretty much to the end of our show. Todd, A, you got any final thoughts before we wrap up? And then B, where can people find you?
Ooh, final thoughts. I don't know. I just recommend that people try to get done what they can before Endwalker. If you have any goals, now is the time. Like it is quickly approaching, and you're going to be buried in all the new content. So if you have these goals, if you have the Heaven on High solos, if you have raid progression you want to get done, or Bosnia, whatever it is, like do it now. People are doing all these things right now, and it's just going to be completely inactive when Endwalker drops. So get on it if you can. Yeah, and you can find me. We'll be back tonight doing some UCOB with our pal Dave Greco Art around, I think we're starting around like 10 or 11 Eastern, something like that. You'll find me tonight. If you're a DJ, if you're late night, you'll find me. Twitch.tv/Llamatodd.
Chris, man, any final thoughts, dude?
No, I'm excited to kind of see Endgame be something that Brian and I are at least aware of. I don't think we'll ever be experts at it, but that's really been my goal this year, is to, I've always had time as my very valid and true excuse for why I haven't gotten to things in the game. And I went full time in January. And so time is no longer on the table as it. So if I'm still using it as an excuse, it is now exactly that. It's only an excuse. So getting a deeper understanding of the game across the board has been the goal. And like, obviously that includes Savage, and that includes leveling up jobs that I've put off. And that includes running content that I missed, and getting to be, I'm starting to get the hang of crafting and gathering, starting to get my first best in slot pieces there. And it's given me the chance to do a lot of stuff. I have one more Tomestone piece to buy and augment before I'm full 530 minus that second ring. Oh, wow. So I'm getting really, really close, and I'm finishing up my 535 relic. So I've got a couple more steps on that. So it's exciting to be this close to best in slot, or at least best in slot adjacent, because I have Tomestone pieces where like technically a Savage piece might be, that much better. Yeah, I'm excited. It's an exciting time to be in 14, and with just a little bit to go, we should go into the expansion ready to chase everything.
And I think for me, I'm just looking forward to tackling 10S now with Todd. Like that was such an amazing first pull.
Yeah.
And it's so there's still like some learning that I can do there. I had a blast learning E9S. What's up?
What do you mean? You're going to do the call outs. We got so far. Next time, right?
I
remember
like
everything, right?
This guy's such a good teacher. It's just, let's put it out there, right there. Like I felt like I was drinking from a fire hose and managing to survive for the most part. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of what it is. Cause I was like, oh, I did it right. But I hadn't registered like why I did it right. I just know that we're still alive. I did it right, and so there's still plenty to learn. And thank you. I'm a quick study, but I'm really excited about that, and hopefully being able to see how far I can get with that. So I do appreciate you, Todd. Like this has been like such a treat for me, because one of the guilts that I've had with the game itself is when we've tried to organize like Savage, because I have no problem learning. I'll throw myself in time and time again, but I've always struggled when it comes down to the question of, hey, can I commit to 2 or 3 nights a week? And the answer is, and will be for at least the short term, no. Like I can't, and I feel bad because I'm like, don't even like bother with me. Don't even feel bad about that, because that's a choice that I made. That's a choice that I wanted to make. And for the time being, it's like, okay, that means I'm not doing this right now. So being able to jump in once a week and being able to kind of learn this content has been, it's definitely like, oh God, I've missed this so much. So this is just great to be back in.
I'm happy to be a part of it. So thank you. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to clearing the tier with both of you.
Yes. Well, now we have an internal bet, like who's going to get it done first.
I'm waiting on Dave Greco. So it's really, if you guys could clear UCOB, that's what I told Dave, I'll only wait so long. Like if I'm seeing Brian, one shot bosses, like at some point, Dave, I'm going to have to try to squeeze onto Todd's schedule before Brian.
So yeah, Chris has obviously got the lead.
He can't run us together. There's one of us has to be first.
It's true. Unless, what if we got you in the 12 together?
There's no ties. There's no room for ties.
This is true.
Whoever's
competition.
Alive at the end.
Yeah, whoever.
Oh yeah. When he's a healer and I'm a tank. Yeah, how could that work out?
Just leave him.
Oh no. Victory by default.
Main tank's down.
No.
The clear.
And then for the rest of his life, he'll never live it down. Now, yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. Like, because so we'll hopefully be back doing that on Thursday, guys. If you want to tune in for that, right now we've been running that Thursday around 8:00. So hopefully you tune in, guys. Be sure to follow Llamatodd. His content and just honestly just what he does. I think he puts out some amazing stuff, real gift to the community. And Todd, thank you so much for taking time today to come onto the podcast.